When it comes to lighting, lighting interviews, lighting product shots, just lighting in general, there are two main things you want: size and softness. A large diffuse source is going to produce light that wraps around your subject, giving you a pleasing look without any hot spots or harsh shadows. The most popular way to do this is by taking a single point source light and attaching a softbox to help diffuse and spread out the light. Now, this is all well and good, and it does do the job, but what if there was a better way? This is the Intellytech LiteCloth 3.0 Mini Mega-4FC, and it might be one of the best lights you've probably never heard of. The Mini Mega-4 is their third largest option. It is a 3-foot by 3-foot light mat, but you can get it in a bunch of other sizes, ranging anywhere from the Mega 3, which is 1 foot by 3 foot, all the way up to the Mega 12, which is 4 foot by 6 foot. The Mega 4 sort of hits that sweet spot for myself, weighing in at 30 pounds fully packed down, but only 3.2 pounds for the light mat itself. This makes it easy to rig up to a boom or fly it overhead. You can attach it to a normal light stand or a C-stand without worrying about it tipping over. The light comes with everything you're going to need, packed down nicely in a padded and zippered carrying case, which makes traveling with and storing this light nice and simple. Unlike most 2x2 light mats that use a flimsy X frame for mounting, the LiteCloth 3.0 uses a rigid EXO frame that can be fully collapsed down to fit into the carrying case, but also build out in just seconds. To build the frame, pull it out of the carrying case and open it up. On the top and bottom, there are two metal threaded locks. These just twist to lock into place. Next, take the center crossbar, lock it into place, and then line up the holes in the crossbar with the pins on the frame. Slide it over these pins and then secure both sides using the metal rod clamps. Once the frame is built, you can hang the light mat on the frame using the elastic loops. Then you're going to want to clip each of the 4 heavy-duty metal buckles around the frame and pull to tighten the straps. The included softbox attaches to the front of the light mat using Velcro. It also has a few extra straps of its own to give it some extra support. Last, you can either add in diffusion or attach a grid. The more diffusion you add, the softer the light is going to be. The less diffusion, the more output you're going to have. Included in the kit is some half-stop diffusion. Intellytech does sell a one-stop diffusion filter, and I found myself doubling up the half-stop and the one-stop to get even softer light, and this light kicks so much that even with a stop and a half of diffusion, you still have plenty of output. To attach the light to a stand, first attach the 90-degree adapter to the light stand, and then you're going to want to attach the clamp to the frame of the light itself. Next, attach the baby pin from the clamp to the 90-degree adapter, and the light is ready to go. Lastly, the light comes with a V-mount quick release plate, and you're going to want to attach this to the light stand, and then the control box has a V-mount adapter so that you can attach the control box to the light stand itself. The entire process is very straightforward and completely toolless. The first couple times you're going to want to take it slow, but after you do it a few times, the entire process can be done in just a couple of minutes. Considering the size and the output of this light, this is way nicer than having to set up frames and flags and everything else you would need for a 40x40 light source. The control box might be one of the nicer ones I've ever used. It features the classic Intellytech teal color and is an all aluminum design. On the front, you'll find the 110 to 240 volt main power port. This will also accept 48 volt DC power in if you want to run the light off of a battery pack. It also uses a Nutrix style twist lock connector, which helps with weather sealing and just peace of mind when you're out shooting. Next to that is the DC out. This is where you can plug in the light itself. This also features a push button lock, so again, you don't have to worry about something coming unplugged mid-shoot. The light ships with an attached 6-foot lead with the ability to buy a 13-foot extension if you want to mount it on a crane or a menace arm. Below that are two 5-pin DMX ports for daisy chaining, and at the top we have a USB-C port for future firmware upgrades, as well as the power button. This is a very satisfying button to press, and as a bonus, it glows red when the light is powered on. On either side are slots for batteries. I got mine in V-mount, but they also sell a gold mount option if that's more your speed. On the bottom, you're gonna find some feet, a grill, and a fan. This is the one and only fan on this entire light, and to be honest, I have never actually heard it spin up. Unless you really push this light, most of the time the control box is just going to sit silently, quietly cooling itself thanks to that all aluminum housing. The light itself doesn't require a fan or have one, so if you're doing work that requires absolute silence, this might be the perfect light for you. On the top is a solid metal handle, 2 metal knobs for making adjustments, and a massive full color display. The knob on the right is dedicated to controlling the brightness, the knob on the left controls pretty much everything else. There is a dedicated blackout button if you want to quickly kill output to the light. Tapping it a second time resumes power to the light. There is a fan button that toggles the different fan modes, but honestly, you're never going to hear it anyway, so this is sort of pointless. There is a menu button that takes you to the main menu, and a select button that selects whatever you have highlighted, as well as switches what the left knob is controlling. As far as modes are concerned, all of the usual suspects are here: CCT mode, RGB, HSI, built-in effects, and even a gel mode. In CCT mode, you can adjust the color temperature, intensity, and because it's an RGB WW light, you can also adjust the tint. Now, I want to hit on this for just a second because not all tint adjustment is the same. With a lot of lights, just dialing in 1% green or magenta can drastically change the color of the light, but with this light cloth, you can roll in a bunch of green or magenta compensation, and the light itself is going to barely shift one way or another. This granular adjustment is so nice compared to cheaper lights, but it doesn't stop there. Like most LED lights, you can adjust the color temperature and the intensity. The color temperature can be adjusted anywhere from 3000 all the way to 9999 Kelvin in increments of 50. But what is unique with this light is the color temperature adjustment is also synced with a green magenta correction. This granular adjustment also applies to intensity. Intellytech is using a 16-bit dimmer for smooth transition from 1% intensity all the way up to 100. Now, this is important because a lot of lights do very well in the middle of their range, but when you try to dim them really low, they just don't really get that dim. With the Mega-4FC, not only is 100% incredibly bright, but more impressively, at 1% output, the light is actually outputting 1%. You can really work this light at any intensity, at any color temperature, and you're going to get a great quality light from it. In RGB mode, you can control each of the red, green, and blue channels. A downside to RGB mode is there is no control over the intensity. The light is going to blast whatever color you tell it, and so for more control, I would recommend using the HSI mode. In HSI mode, you can dial in your exact hue, saturation, and intensity. So if you want to dial in a light blue, but you also don't want it to be super bright, this mode allows you to fine-tune your output. In the special effects mode, you get 20 different pre-built effects, from campfire to TV to police lights. It's all the usual effects, and you can also adjust the different parameters for each of these effects, like speed and intensity. Last but not least, we have gel mode. Intellytech has included most of the popular gels from Lee and Roscoe, so if you prefer to use certain gels or you're trying to match an HMI or a tungsten fixture that is using a Lee or Roscoe gel, this is going to make it easy to do so. Now, like I mentioned in the intro, big and soft lights are key to getting beautiful looking shots. These lights have quickly replaced my point source lights for interviews, for top downs, for product shots, for pretty much everything. Most of the time, setting up lights means pulling out C-stands and flags and softboxes, or setting up a lantern, then flagging out the spill, and so on and so forth. But with these lights, the whole process is so much more streamlined. The sheer size of them makes them soft and flattering, and being so thin, you can place them wherever you want without them getting in the way. If you shoot in tight spaces a lot, you know just how much of a pain it can be to set up a big key light, so having something that is essentially the same footprint as a 40x40 flag, but can output 260 watts of light is pretty amazing. With them being so slim, most of the time I just leave them built up, or I pop them off the stands and lean them up against a wall. When I do need to break them down and move them to a chute, it's nice to have a carrying case that can hold everything you're going to need, minus a light stand, and it's surprisingly rigid. I probably wouldn't trust it throwing it on a plane without a hard case, but getting it to and from shoots and going in and out of the car, this is going to be more than sufficient. Like with most modern lights, there is an app. This one is called LightSync Plus and is made by Intellytech. It is also completely free, no ads, no needing a premium account, just a nice simple app that works. It's not the most beautiful app in the world, but what it is reliable. This might be the first lighting app I've used that seamlessly connects to the light every single time. The controls are laid out in a logical way. You have your different modes at the top, CCT, RGB, HSI, and once you select your mode, then there's an area for presets. Below that is a place to manually adjust the color temp. You can adjust the dimming curve, brightness, and then all the way at the bottom, you have your green magenta shift. The buttons are big and easy to use, and you can also tap on any of the numbers and manually input a specific value. One of the more interesting features of this app is a color picker option. This allows you to either use a photo or use your phone's camera to select a color, and then the light is going to reproduce that exact color. I'm not really sure how useful this is, but it's certainly unique and might be helpful for somebody trying to match a specific color. Now, with professional features, professional build quality comes a professional price tag. For the full color 3-foot by 3-foot Mini Mega-4, it's going to run you around $1,300, and so it's certainly not cheap. In the world of flexible LED mats, it's still far below that of what Aladdin or LightMat are going to charge for a similar fixture. It's also a light that goes on sale quite frequently. I was able to pick up 2 of these Mini Mega-4FCs for just under $1,500 for both of them, and so while they are expensive and more expensive than consumer 2-foot by 2-foot light mats, they can be found for around similar prices if you don't mind waiting for the sales. Overall, I think the Intellytech LiteCloth 3.0 punches well above its weight. It is closer to a high-end professional fixture than it is a consumer 2x2 panel. You get a light that is insanely accurate, is in a form factor that is easy to work with, you get a ton of output, full color control, and an app that actually works, and it all breaks down into a padded carrying case that is small and easy to transport. Usually to get a light this big, you're going to need frames and diffusion and flags and C-stands and everything else, so to have the size and the quality of this light in this sort of form factor is a win-win in my book. As always, if you have any questions regarding the Intellytech LiteCloth or just lighting in general, leave those in a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another one.